Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today, the best daily sports betting show on the planet. I'm Lawrence. Prez and Teddy covers is my co-host, and we've got a wonderful lineup for you guys. Ross Benjamin will be joining us right off the bat. After him, Mark Zinno, and we're going to end with Carmine Bianco. We're going to We're going to dig deep into this Kansas City game. They're hosting Tampa Bay tonight. Ross has a play for us. Mark has a play for us. Carmine has two prop bets for us. Plus, we've got some NHL and NBA along the way. My brother Theodore, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing okay today, Lawrence. How about yourself?
Well, you told me to fix my shirt. What's wrong with it?
Just pull down.
Pull it down. Okay.
There you go. Much better.
Oh, yeah, baby. Feeling it. Teddy, you lost your 5% play yesterday, and you almost killed me.
I did.
Along the way.
It was no fun. The Dallas Cowboys did what everyone in the entire world thought they were going to do yesterday, except for you and I and a couple other people. There was no support for Dallas in the markets, and Dallas played like they didn't deserve a whole lot of support in the market. So we'll talk about that before this show is through, Lawrence. But yes, yeah. I had a kiss my sister weekend, but I lost a big play with the Cowboys, which was no fun at all.
Yeah, I did well. I did really well on Saturday, but yesterday was again a 3-3 day. But I won. I went 2-1 on my NFL side bets, and we are going to talk about that a little later in the show. Let's bring Ross Benjamin in right off the bat. Ross, I know you had a rough day. It happens to all of us, my friend.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. We love having you with us.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, if I seem a bit annoyed today, you know why, Prez. So nobody. Look, we take a lot of pride and we put a lot of time into what we do. It's our profession, and nobody likes to lose more than I do, or any of us do, I should say.
Want to bet?
So yeah. So it's I'm annoyed today.
Listen, Ross. However badly you hate losing, multiply that by 10, and then multiply that number by 10, and that's how bad I hate losing. But yes, we do still hate it is the worst. It is. Let's get into this. Okay, we got a big game going tonight, dude. Tampa Bay, they're on the road. They're playing Kansas City, and for me, and I'm going to be full disclosure here. I'm not betting this game. We have seen money come in on Tampa Bay. There are there is an 8.5 out there. Man, I can't find a way to bet this game. If I had to, I would take the dog. I'm curious what you're going to do.
Well, here's the thing. Tampa Bay, they lost their last two to fall to 4-4. Last week, it wasn't as apparent as I think it will be this week, and I'm referring to the loss of both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, their two top targets at the wide receiver position. I think against a defense like Kansas City, it's going to be very difficult to move the ball for Tampa Bay tonight. And this is a Bucs team that's run the ball really well in their last three games, averaging 168 yards per game rushing, 5.8 yards per rush attempt. That's excellent any way you want to cut it. But they're going to be facing a KC defense that's really tough to run the ball on. Their last three, allowing just 60 yards per game and 3 yards per rush. So they're going to be up against it. That loss of Evans and Chris Godwin, Teddy, I think, is going to be huge as it applies to this matchup. They may get away with it against other teams. They were competitive last week without the two, but they're going to be hard-pressed here. Tampa Bay's also committed 8 turnovers in their last 3 games. And that's, that kind of those types of errors at that consistent a basis over a few game period of time doesn't bode well for them going into this game at Kansas City tonight. And their defense has been brutal over their last 4 games, Teddy. 33.8 points per game, 439 yards per contest allowed. So they've been terrible defensively, and Kansas City's defense doesn't get talked about enough. I just think a lot of emphasis is put on their offense over the last few years, and rightfully so. When you have a quarterback the caliber of Patrick Mahomes, although he's not having a great year this year by any stretch of the imagination. But their defense, 17.6 points allowed per game, less than 300 yards per game. In their last three, they're only allowing 252 yards per game and under 5 yards per play, which is excellent. This is also a Kansas City team that's 8-0 straight up and 7-0-1 against the spread since last year versus teams like Tampa Bay that allow 130 plus yards rushing per game. So I'm not crazy about the game, Teddy. I'm not using it on my premium side, but I have a strong opinion that I like Kansas City here, later points, because of the situation overall that I just described.
Let me ask you this, because I'm with you that the only way I can play this game is Kansas City, and I can't play Kansas City because the Chiefs have shown a pretty strong propensity to play up or down to the level of competition. 5 of their 7 wins have come by a touchdown or less. Last year, they had 7 wins by a touchdown or less, including 3 in the postseason. Do you worry at all about Kansas City's consistent inability to dominate teams, to win by multiple scores?
Well, it's well documented that, you know, I think their brand name carries a lot of weight more than the reality of laying points such as this more than a touchdown. However, you know, I look at this matchup, Teddy. You're missing your 2 top receivers and real good ones at that, in Godwin and Evans, and you're facing a defense like Kansas City. A defense like Kansas City that stops the run, which Tampa Bay is sure to lean on the running game heavily tonight. And if they have to become one-dimensional and they fall behind in this game, I think it's just going to snowball on them. I mean, with all things considered, I think that Tampa Bay is up against it tonight. And again, it's not Kansas City's defense that's making them not as good as what we've seen in recent years. It's their offense. I mean, I think Patrick Mahomes has what? Does he have more picks than interception or touchdown passes this year? I know he's not playing up to snuff what we're used to. So, yeah, it's a concern. But, you know, again, I consider the matchup to be a favorable one for all the reasons I disclosed.
Benjamin Ross. What do you think about the weather report? How's that going to factor into your play? We're getting a notification here that tonight we're going to have periods of rain, some heavy, and a thunderstorm this evening. 45.5.
Yeah.
You just outlined that Tampa Bay ain't going to score that much, and Kansas City's defense is excellent. Any thoughts on a total?
Yeah, I might be looking, you might look, again, based on the weather report and what I just alluded to, I certainly wouldn't go over the total. I might have even a bigger lean toward Tampa Bay going under their team total, whatever that is right now.
Right.
I certainly wouldn't go over. If you put the proverbial gun to my head, Prez, I would lean toward the under. So, again, I would even lean heavier toward Tampa Bay going under their team total tonight.
Ross Benjamin joining us, everyone. You can find him at WagerTalk.com, an exclusive handicapper of ours. And we're going to turn our attention to some NBA. We got the Nets plus 5.5 playing Memphis. How are you betting this game?
Well, you got the Nets plus 5 right now. Look, they're coming off an embarrassing 14-point home loss to lowly Detroit yesterday. And here's the thing that really sticks out to me in that matchup, Teddy, is they got out-rebounded. They were minus 20 on the boards. And in the NBA, when you're that bad on the boards in one specific game, that lends itself to just a lack of effort. They weren't playing with any type of determination whatsoever, and they got outworked. It's the only thing I could attribute it to, because teams get out-rebounded in the NBA, but by that large a margin in a game is very rare. And the good thing for the Nets is they're able to atone for last night's effort by playing 24 hours later again on their home floor. And so we'll see a better effort from the Nets. Whether that translates to a win or a cover is yet to be seen. But the Nets have been a very good underdog this year. Yesterday, they were favored against Detroit. As a matter of fact, they're 4-1 against the spread as a dog this year and 3-0 against the spread as a dog of 8.5 or less. They've also yesterday broke a string of 3 straight games in which they shot the ball 51% or better. So they are a decent shooting team, and that bodes well for a home underdog. And the Nets also, they played at Memphis last Wednesday and won 119-106 as an underdog in that contest. This is a Memphis team that's 2-1 on the road, Teddy, but their 2 wins on the road have come against Philly and Utah. And those 2 teams, by the way, they're a combined 1-10 to start the season. So I'm going to take the Brooklyn Nets here, plus the 5 at home over the Memphis Grizzlies.
So Memphis has won 2 in a row. The Nets lost yesterday. But the last loss that the Grizzlies suffered came at home to Brooklyn, a game that was, I think it was a 1-point game in the fourth quarter, and the Nets went on a big run to close it out. Do you worry at all about the short turnaround revenge type of scenarios in the NBA? Because to me, the quotes I was seeing made me think Memphis remembered last week's loss to the Nets. It's they played poorly, and it was the last loss they've had.
Yeah, I think that to me would come more to fruition or be considered more heavily on my part if the Nets weren't coming off such an embarrassing performance yesterday on their home floor. So if the Net, believe it or I mean, I know this sounds crazy, Teddy, but I probably would have leaned toward Memphis in this spot if the Nets won handily yesterday. And that wasn't the case. So although, yes, it sets up as a revenge situation, I'm not a big proponent of revenge in the NBA anyway. But by the same token, look, it's you look at who Memphis has beat this year, Teddy, they really haven't beat anybody of significance. As a matter of fact, I don't think they've beaten anybody with a winning record at this particular moment in time.
Benjamin. Ross, before we let you go, what do you have to promote?
All right, so I'm going to have 3 NBA picks up for tonight. And Prez, I sent you over to Streaks, and let's talk about positive. Bad day yesterday in the NFL, yeah. But my NBA has been very, very good, folks. As a matter of fact, you look at where am I here? My NBA straight bet wagers 96-61 since April 11th of 2023, up over $10,000. My NBA money line picks, and I never lay a big number when it comes to NBA money line picks, or I'll take an underdog, 46-18 since March of 2021 at 71% and net profit of $7,600. College football coming off a 2-3 Saturday, but still 115-81 since December of 2022. Up $7,500, still ranked number 1 in college football over that course of time. What did I miss? College basketball starts tonight, Prez. And my college basketball totals have been excellent, folks. So the record doesn't lie, 89-55 since March of 2022 with my college basketball totals. That's 62% and a net profit of over $9,200. So despite a terrible weekend, there's a lot of positives I could draw from, and it's going to be a big winning week and a bounce back week for myself.
Ross, Benjamin, everyone, outstanding stuff. Teddy covers lots of shows to the left. Guys, if you like what you're hearing, take a second out of your day. Please take a second out of your day and hit that like button. Teddy, it's time for one of the best segments ever, your 6 Bs. I hand the microphone to you.
Let's talk some bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the book. 6 Bs, a little recap of what just happened this past weekend. And this wasn't one of the worst weekends of the year for bad beats, but there were still a handful. Sure. How about Duke plus 21 at Miami? They led by double digits in that game. In the second half, it was a 1-point game in the fourth quarter, and then disaster struck. 29-28 became 53-31. Bomb, touchdown, punt, bomb, touchdown, interception, another touchdown, fumble. Nobody scores in garbage time. If you had Duke, That was no fun against the Hurricanes. Penn State was a pretty tough beat. They really were. I understand they weren't the right side, but they led the game 10-0. They threw an interception in the end zone. Then they got stuffed 4 times from inside the 5 in the fourth quarter with one of the worst fourth down play calls you'll ever see. The James Franklins lose by 7. The Lions, once again, didn't beat the big boys. Tough if you had Penn State. And, of course, if you had Michigan, it was every bit as bad. I think it was worse because Oregon minus 14.5, minus 15. The Ducks are calling timeouts up 14 with under a minute to play to punch in that last touchdown. And yes, they did punch in the last touchdown. Plus 14.5, plus 15, no good. The Ducks won by 21. I had the Rams yesterday, and I had a wrong side winner. Seattle plus 1.5, plus 2. That was pretty bad. Zeno threw a 103-yard pick six with the game tied in the fourth quarter. That's a 14-point swing. Then Seattle blocked the punt, gets first and goal at the 5. Zeno throws another pick. Seattle ties anyway in regulation. They win the toss. They get the ball in overtime. They march down the field. It's 3rd and 1 from the Rams 16. They get stuffed. Now 4th and 1 from the 16 in overtime. You got to kick the field goal, right? Nope. They went for it. They got stuffed. And the Rams had a pretty easy touchdown drive after. Seattle's heart had already been torn out. I don't talk props very often when it comes to bad beats because it doesn't every weekend. There's 3 dozen every weekend. But this one really stood out. If you had Tua over his passing yardage yesterday, that's as tough as it gets. The number's 243.5. He has 254 with 5 seconds left. What happens with 5 seconds left? Short pass to Achane, who laterals to Waddle. Waddle, he's chased. He runs in the wrong direction for 23 yards. And then, thankfully, for anyone who had Miami, went down. What happened? A negative 23-yard pass. Tua finishes with 231 yards. That's one I hadn't seen before when it comes to bad beats. Oof. No fun for Tua overbetters. Bad bets on Saturday. They bet Auburn up. -5 up to -8, 8.5. Vandy beat him outright by double digits. The Commodores are very real. If you didn't know already. They bet Wisconsin. They were betting Iowa. They were betting against Iowa with Wisconsin. Wisconsin bet down to +3. There were even some 2.5s out there. The Hawkeyes won that game by 32. The Saints, in terms of bad bets, got bet up from -4.5 to -7, even higher during the week. Yeah, we get it. Derek Carr was playing. The books knew that before they set the line. Carolina with the outright upset. Eagles from -6.5 to -7.5 against the Jags. They led 22-0. They left 8 points on the board. Then again, they were lucky to win the game at all. 28-23 final. Philly was not a right side. And of course, the Chargers-Browns total got steamed up right from the opener last week. 39 up to 42. 27-10 final. There was a blocked field goal, a missed field goal, and then Jameis with 3 second-half interceptions, keeping that one under the total. Yeah, L.A., Cleveland overbetters didn't get there. Bad for the books on Saturday. We saw Minnesota go from +3 to -3 in the point spread. Boom. They beat Illinois by 8. So all that money cashed. Arizona State -1 to -5 against Oklahoma State. Well, Oklahoma State's falling apart. The Sun Devils won on the road by 3 touchdowns. Nobody bet Michigan. Not the pros, not the Chos. Oregon won by 3 touchdowns. That was bad for the books. 2-point conversions, the single most important point spread play in football. The Giants missed theirs. They lost by 5 instead of by 3. Washington on every parlay card, and they were -3.5, -4, -4.5. They win by 5 instead of winning by 3, thanks to the Giants' 2-point conversion miss. Bad for the books. Look, lots of sharp money yesterday on Arizona, +2 to -1.5. The Cardinals won that game by 3 scores. My clients and I felt like the only ones on earth who bet the Cowboys yesterday. Falcons, -2.5, through 3 up to 3.5 at most books. Dallas did not win. Dallas did not cover. That was not good for the house. And when you look at the end of the day yesterday in the NFL, only one favorite on the entire card lost straight up, the Saints, who were on a 6-game losing streak coming in, and nobody bet them anyway. Not exactly a betting bandwagon team. So moneyline parlay bettors on Sunday had a field day against the books. If you were betting those moneyline parlays, as long as New Orleans wasn't there and you were betting favorites, you cashed in because every other favorite won the game. There you have it. Bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers. That was the shortest 6 Bs in history.
No.
We still got Okay, fine. I didn't time.
You were just typing the whole time and not paying any attention to what I was saying. So time goes fast for you.
Yes, I was typing. I was putting up I got a million plays for my clients tonight, bro. I got work going on. But before we get into that, you guys are gonna get sick of me. I'm telling you, this week is the week where I'm gonna say the same thing over and over and over again. Please take Teddy off the screen. We don't need to look at him while I promote, because he's just gonna be miserable, roll his eyes, do that kind of stuff. So listen, here's the bottom line. I'm one of the owners of WagerTalk, and I look at the back end, and I know what type of packages everybody's buying. I know who our biggest seller is. I know what plays sell the best. I know all this because I have access to the back end at WagerTalk. And here is the bottom line. I fully understand why people buy the hottest handicapper. Somebody's on a 10-0 run. They make an insane amount of sales. I get it. I respect it. I agree with it. When you're seeing it right, you should be playing that person. I fully understand why people play 5% plays. It's the highest rated play that we give out at WagerTalk. We don't push these plays. There are a limit to how many we give out. And I respect and get why most people buy 5% plays. Here's what I don't understand. There is a handicapper at WagerTalk that is 66% in NFL ATS bets over the last 3 regular seasons. 66%. In the year 2022, he went 18-7. In the year 2023, he went 18-12. In the year 2024, which is the current year, 12-6. He is 48-25 in 2.5 years of NFL ATS bets. His name is Lawrence Pressman. He knows his shit better than anybody else in NFL ATS betting. It's why he doesn't give out a ton of them. And he has a promo for you. And he's speaking in third person. Prez NFL, $299 for my entire NFL season. And I'm up on totals too. It's not like my totals are bad. I mean, my totals are around 56%, but they're winning. But my NFL ATS bets are insane. And I talked about this last week, and I went 2-1 yesterday. I had Dallas like Teddy. It lost. But I also had Arizona, and I also had Detroit. Find me an expert with a 66% win percentage over 2.5 seasons of NFL ATS betting. Find me one other than me. So please, and you're going to hear this every day, buy that promo code and let's win together. Prez NFL, $299. You don't believe me? Mark Zeno. 66% in 2.5 years. Is that a good record in your opinion?
Prez, I don't think anybody can touch your record over the last 2.5 years. It's impressive.
Teddy?
How many plays was it, Lawrence? How many total plays is it?
I'll tell you, my brother, it is 48-25.
So 73 total plays. Well done, buddy. Good luck. Doing that the next 73 plays.
I'm going to. And the people who use the promo code Prez NFL are going to take advantage of that. Mark, love having you on.
I got to laugh at a Zeno, man.
Yeah. Whatever.
I wasn't expecting Teddy to say that. All right.
Mark,
okay.
let it out, brother. Let it out, dude. I love happiness. And the fact that Teddy is smiling today, it makes it lots of love. Okay, Mark, Kansas City. You got a team total bet for us on Kansas City. Tell us what it is, and then we'll get into some NBA.
Yeah, look, Kansas City, for all of their warts, and I think there are many. Look, Patrick Mahomes hasn't played well all year long, right? He's got a negative touchdown-interception ratio. Their offense is sort of impotent at times. They're missing a lot of guys. They're not healthy. They still have Andy Reid as a coach. But what we've seen from them over the course of the last 3 weeks is that they've started to kind of look like they figured it out a little bit. And I'm looking at the team total over 13.5 in the first half. They've scored at least 14 in each of the last 3 weeks. In fact, they've averaged over the course of the last 3 weeks 15.7 points in the first half. For the season, they averaged 13. At home, it goes up a tick even higher. They're taking on a Tampa Bay defense that is the third worst pass defense in the NFL this year. If you look at their previous 3 weeks against New Orleans, San Francisco, and Las Vegas, Las Vegas and New Orleans are in the top half of the league in pass defense. So they were playing better defenses over the course of the last 3 weeks and really taking advantage of it. So I think the passing game is starting to come together here. Furthermore, this is about game script. We know the Buccaneers can't run the ball. So Kansas City likely early on is going to have multiple opportunities if they force some 3-and-outs in the first half to get over this number. But I think it's full display here where Kansas City is set to put together a game script where they jump out to an early lead and don't look back, similar to what the Buccaneers had 2 weeks ago against the Baltimore Ravens at home on Monday night when the Ravens sprinted out to a lead. Now, the stats look like the Buccaneers got back in it late, but that wasn't really the case, despite the fact it was only a 10-point game. But, you know, if the Buccaneers have any chance to win this game, they've got to keep Kansas City to 10 points or less in the first half. I just don't think they can do it. I think Kansas City's starting to find themselves here. They have an extra day of prep after 2 consecutive road games, finally coming back home in front of their home crowd. They should easily get to 14 here in the first half of this contest.
She like KC over in the first half. Does the weather concern you here at all? We're talking about rain. We're talking about gusty winds. It's not a pretty forecast for Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City this evening. I think that's helping keeping this total down. Do you worry about a delay where they all have to go off the field because there's lightning in the area that takes everyone out of rhythm? Talk about the weather and how that affects your thought process.
Well, the one thing that Kansas City and Andy Reid have always done well is the short passing game, right? I mean, you have a short-handed tight end in Travis Kelce, who clearly is going to be part of this whole thing. And again, DeAndre Hopkins now in the fold. He's not the same guy that you're expected to run down the field. That's why they got Xavier Worthy. He's the stretch the field guy. So between that and Kareem Hunt out of the backfield, a guy who's a very capable pass catcher, the short passing game here should be able to keep them moving the sticks. And when you have slippery, wet turf, it always favors the offense. They know what direction they're going. The defense doesn't. So if there is going to be some turf issues with some slickness, as long as you hold on to the football and we don't see any disastrous red zone turnovers here for Kansas City, I feel like this is a spot where KC's offense, regardless of the weather, should be able to still find 2 touchdowns in the first half.
Mark Zinno joining us, everyone. Mark, let's talk Boston Celtics. Man, this team is rolling right now. Nice start to the season. We don't normally see this with a championship team coming out of the gate 6-1. And, well, one thing we're seeing, they can score. And you like their team total over tonight. Tell us why.
Well, the Atlanta Hawks are a team right now that is the only team that has not had a game go under yet this year. They're 7-0 to the over. And moreover, they just actually covered their first ATS line, their first spread line last night against the New Orleans Pelicans, who were depleted with no Zion Williamson, no CJ McCollum, no DeJounte Murray. So that's part of the reason why the Hawks were able to win and cover and only gave up 111. Their previous 4 contests, oh, by the way, against some sort of mediocre teams, gave up 123, 133, 121, and 128. It's a bad Hawks defense. It always has been. And them giving away DeJounte Murray in the offseason didn't get them any better. When Trae Young is on the floor, the Hawks are a markedly worse defensive team and one of the worst defensive teams. In fact, 3rd this year in defensive efficiency, 3rd worst this year in defensive efficiency to start the season off, which is kind of right where they were at the end of last year. Boston is a juggernaut. They won't have Jaylen Brown tonight, but I still have very little concerns, especially with the Hawks being on a back-to-back. They may have some tired legs. My biggest concern about this game and it staying under and the Celtics not getting to their team total is if the Hawks, because they're on a back-to-back, shoot so poorly early and are out of this thing by midway through the 3rd quarter, they pull up, Boston pulls up. It's a blowout where Boston wins 117 to 101, and that's how the game stays under, and that's how Boston doesn't go over if it's a complete blowout by the Celtics. But still, this is a Hawks offense that we know pushes the pace and can score. So as long as Atlanta's scoring, Boston should clear this number by themselves.
Mark, it feels to me like listening to your handicap. Let's take that blowout away. Why not just the first half over?
Well, again, with Jaylen Brown being out, is it immune from the Celtics just starting a little bit sluggish and only scoring, 50 to 55 and then pouring it on in the second half? I mean, I've seen that before from Boston where they have much bigger second halves than first. And the one thing that I will put is when at least looking at the team total from a first half standpoint, I look at Boston and I go, as long as Atlanta's pushing the pace early, they're going to be able to continue or going to be forced to continue to score. If Boston's defense is on and Atlanta isn't pushing the pace, at least in the first half, they'll keep pushing, and hopefully it's enough to carry them where I'm sitting in the third quarter. At the end of the third quarter, I only need 23, right. 24 points for them to get over this number. They should be close to 100 by the end of 3 against Atlanta.
Mark Zeno. Mark, Dram Yankees writes, come on, Zeno. You've got to do your segment in a faux Prez voice. Sounds like you've been imitating my voice on some shows, Mark. So I'm a big man, dude. I'm a big man with a big ego. Let me hear it, please. Do it live on air.
You don't know that imitation is the most sincere form of flattery? That's what it is, Prez. That's exactly what it is. 66% over the last 2 years. Imitation, Prez, the most sincere form of flattery. Right here on WagerTalk Today.
I love it. I love it, brother. What do you think? I mean, for me, it's hard, Teddy, because I don't hear my voice the way you guys do, but how close was that?
It was enjoyable. It got a smile.
That's all you needed. Right. That's all you needed right there.
So I guess you do this with Brian Power likely in the morning show.
The morning wager has a lot of moments that will make people laugh. We bring a lot of levity to the show, mostly because Brian Power is easy to make fun of, and I do it often. So there is that.
He is a grown adult with bangs, so yes, he is easy to make fun of.
I'm going to bring that up tomorrow morning on the show. That's good, Prez.
What do you got to promote, brother?
Oh, God. We got to play in Monday Night Football, a prop up there. Listen, we've hit our last 2 Monday Night Football props. In fact, the Morning Wager has hit 3 consecutive anytime touchdown props. So make sure you guys are checking out the Morning Wager every morning here on Wager Talk YouTube, myself and Brian Power. But we are 17-9 dating back to last season on NFL props, so we stay hot there. I got a prop up tonight, 3% bet in Monday Night Football, so check it out, wt.buzz/MZ.
Well, brilliant. Okay, Mark Zinno done, Ross Benjamin done, Teddy covers. It's your big game breakdown, and then we've got Carmine Bianco. Go ahead, my friend.
Let's talk some NBA for Monday night with today's big game breakdown. The NBA's off to a good start. Riding a 71% run over the last 8 days, and I'm up more than, I think it's 221 units of profit since 2022. NBA's been pretty good for the clients and I, both this year and in seasons past. Let's talk about the Bucks and the Cavs right now. Look at the Wager Talk live odds screen. I'm seeing Cleveland at home, -7, total in the 228 range, and I have no problem laying this number. We're fading Milwaukee until proven otherwise, all right? The Bucks were 30-13 when Adrian Griffin got fired last year. They're 19-25 under Doc Rivers. If you've watched Milwaukee so far this season, you're seeing an old team with no bench. I know Giannis is questionable tonight, which I think he's going to play. If he plays, the number will come down. There's no urgency to get to the Cleveland side. But Doc Rivers is collecting a check. His quote, our bench, we have to figure that out. We have not found the correct rotation yet. We'll keep searching for that. These two teams played in Milwaukee over the weekend. Lillard, monster game, 10 3-pointers, 41 points. Giannis, 34 points, 16 boards. Didn't matter. They weren't good enough to win. This is a Bucks team that is fade only right now. Cavs are 7-0. They're the only unbeaten team in the Eastern Conference. They won, and now Milwaukee gets a revenge. But I'm not worried about a revenge factor like this with a struggling Bucks team. All right? Kenny Atkinson has made a difference for Cleveland. This is a team that brought their entire rotation back. Great continuity from one year to the next. We have a bet on coach. The markets haven't caught up with how good they are. The Bucs just played their best game and came up short. This is a mediocre team. Ride the hot, fade the cold. Take Cleveland minus the 7 and look for a comfortable Cavs victory. 30-day NBA passes, by the way, right now, only $149. Great opportunity to get on board. There's your big game breakdown. Lawrence, back to you, my friend.
Teddy covers. Let's just talk about what we've got going tonight. What do you have going for the clients tonight?
I have an NBA play up for the clients this evening. I'm passing on Monday Night Football. And I have a single. It's just a single best bet in NBA. The short list was relatively long, and I talked myself out of most of it.
Okay. Tell us what you talk. Tell us a couple that you talked yourself out of, because those usually win. Do you remember?
Well, I have. So, of course, I got the short list right here. I can tell you everything. So the Cavs are on the short list. I did not pull the trigger on Cleveland. I have the Lakers on my short list. I did not pull the trigger on the Lakers. I have Sacramento on the short list. I missed the best of the number in that. I have the Rockets on the short list. I missed the best of number in that one. I had Portland on the short list. I decided not to play the Blazers after they just played 2 tight games at home. I didn't trust them down the stretch in that ball game against New Orleans. I kind of want to play Toronto against Denver. Denver returning home off the road trip. Toronto's doing something that's real interesting, that's worth noting. At the end of games, they're hitting layup after layup after layup. They're not jacking up bad threes. So they're taking 8-point leads and knocking them to 6 again and again and again. We love underdogs that do that. Lean Raptors tonight in that game. And last but not least, I just want to keep fading Philadelphia. I lean Phoenix against the 76ers. Those are all plays that I did not pull the trigger on for the clients. Lawrence, have you finished entering your plays yet? Do you want to continue on with the show, or should I just keep talking about NBA plays I didn't bet?
I'm putting one of my NBA plays in right now. So for me tonight, I've got 2 NBA bets, my first college basketball bet of the season, 1 NHL bet, and I did find an NFL bet tonight. So I've got a 5-pack all access. Head over and grab it. Okay, Carmine Bianco joining us, one of the best dudes ever on the planet. How are you, my friend?
Very good. I was looking at the time. I'm like, okay, I think I got like 90 seconds of show time here to burn through 3 plays.
Minutes.
But yeah, 7 minutes. Wow, that's way too much time for me. But listen, we're going to talk about the Tampa game. I know you guys are talking about the weather. I've been checking the Arrowhead weather on AccuForecast, and between the hours of like 7 and 10, they're not expecting any rain at all. It's 40% chance of precipitation. But before that, and as of 10 o'clock, it's in that 70 to 80% range. So maybe the first half plays if you're looking at it, because the second half looks like we're going to get that torrential downpour that everyone's expecting. But you know the way forecasts work, guys. They're right 50% of the time.
Yes. And wrong the other 50%. Carmine, let's get into some NFL. You've already given us the weather report. Now you're going to give us 2 prop bets. Give them both out at the same time, and Teddy will jump in and ask you if you blow up.
Yeah, no problem. These are pretty much correlated with this game tonight. I don't think it's going to be the blowout everyone expects. I get it. They're a 9-point favorite right now. I do see like 1.5 on our WagerTalk live lines, but this is a 4-4 Tampa team that has been throwing the ball, and they're going to have to throw the ball because, as the previous guests have mentioned, that KC rush or run defense is very good. But you look at Tampa, they're averaging. I'm sorry here. I'm looking at 244 passing yards allowed, because I'm going with the Mahomes prop here. First of all, the TD prop over 1.5. And I'll get to that in a second. They're allowing 341 passing yards on the road in 3 contests. And I get it. The Mahomes, 8 TDs, 9 interceptions. He hasn't had to do it because they get the job done. You look at their games, and they're 7-0. He gets the win. I think they've only covered covered games. They're 5-2 against the spread, but they've only covered, let's say, this number in 2 games. They've only won by 10 plus in 2 of those 5 games. And I get the Mahomes thing, as I mentioned. I think much like what Zeno said, they're starting to figure it out. KC's starting to figure it out. Travis Kelce, more importantly, has become a bigger thing for this team. First 3 weeks of the season, 12 targets, 8 receptions. The last 4 weeks, 36 targets, 30 receptions. As he said, a sure-handed guy. And I like this TD prop. I think they've allowed 3.3 TDs per game, Tampa's defense, in the last 3 games. They're making good quarterbacks look great. Can you imagine what they make a great quarterback like Mahomes look like in this one? This line is pretty much steamed. 1.5 went from minus 110 to minus 125 to it's at minus 140 right now. I think he gets his over his number in this one. And to go with that, the Travis Kelce anytime TD prop, which is at even money. And I get it, only 5 TDs last season. But he has picked it up, sure-handed guys, and especially if you're expecting rain, as they're expecting, he is going to get his. He's become their target in the last 5 weeks. Give me the TD prop. And Tampa Bay, first 6 games of the season, did not allow a tight end to get a touchdown. The last 2 games, 4 TDs, 2 in each of the last 2 games against Baltimore and Atlanta. Teddy, fire away.
So conceptually, even if the weather forecast says that in the hours for the game that it's not going to be raining, it's raining before the game and it's supposed to rain after the game, it's going to be a wet field, it's going to be a sloppy field. So we have under conditions, let's say. We have a Kansas City team that's trending under. What are they, 4-1 of the under last 5? They were an under team last year. We know how good their defense is. They don't have to score points in bunches. And yet everyone wants to talk overs today. You're talking over with Mahomes, over with Kelce props. And we're talking offensive numbers. Is that something you like to do in bad weather when everyone else seems to be on the same side?
I will say this. If I anticipate bad weather, I would look at a total and possibly look at the under. With that said, I get a text message yesterday from our good friend Rob Braley, and he's like, the weather in Green Bay is going to be terrible. They're expecting monsoon weather. And the game stayed under the total, but the line didn't move. It sat at that 47.5 to 48 number. It never moved. The game stayed under the total. And for the most part, for anyone who watched that game, I don't think the passing was affected in that game. I think this is one of those things where KC has Denver up next. I'm not saying it's a look-ahead spot for them where they can it's a sandwich game for them. It's prime time. It's Patrick Mahomes on prime time. He doesn't lose a lot of these games. And I just think they have gotten better as the season has progressed, which is hard to believe for a 7-0 team saying they've gotten better. They've got the Bills up in a couple of weeks' time. That is going to be another game to look at as well, too. But they're getting better, Teddy, I think. And Travis Kelce is a big part of this offense. He has been. He was non-existent the first 3 weeks. Every single prop on him was staying under, and now it's the other way around. I get it. The anytime TD is a stretch for a guy who has 1 TD on the season, I believe, but it's priced. Right. If it's priced at even money, if you made it plus 130, plus 140, every single book would get hit with action on Travis Kelce anytime TD. The books have it priced fairly. I wouldn't lay juice on it, but at even money, I'll take it.
Carm, you got a prop bet for us on Nashville. You have 30 seconds and then promote.
All right. Nashville and the Kings. I think we're going to see some goals in this one. The Kings are not playing well on the road this season. 4 6 games, they've allowed 4+ goals. The 2 games in which they didn't allow goals in the last 6 games or a lot of scoring were against the Ducks, the West's worst team as far as goal scoring, and the Montreal Canadiens, the East's 4th worst team. Nashville scored in 3 of the last 4 games at home. They've scored more than 3.5 goals, so 4+ goals. It's plus 110 here. Nashville, I think, wins this game 4-2, 4-3 type of game, gets us over the total and gets us plus money on the Nashville team total. That's what I like in this one. Lawrence. And as far as promos, 3 NHL plays up for tonight, a play and props pack, and NFL play and props pack, 16-6 the last 5 Mondays with these NFL play and prop packets. And NHL is trending in a very good direction. Last 4 days, plus 16.35 units, 7-3 overall.
Plus 16 units the last 4 days in NHL. You're doing something right, Carmine Bianco. That's going to wrap it for the Monday edition. Thank you so much, Carm. Thank you so much, Ross, Benjamin. And of course, thank you so much, Mark Zinno. And of course, thanks to you guys for watching us and joining us. Stay tuned right here on this channel, the NFL Opening Line Report with myself and Drew Martin at the top of the hour. And Prez and I will be back tomorrow. I won't be here, but Prez will be here with Steve Merrill for another edition of Wager Talk Today. Same time, same channel. Between now and tomorrow's show, enjoy the games and best of luck with all your bets. Cheers.